Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Thoughts with Ivan Meneses, and this is going to be episode 7. But before we actually get started, I just wanted to say a quick thank you. Yesterday I posted a video, I titled it, Please Don't Get Scammed. And prior to posting that video, I was overwhelmed by, well, first off, concern, because I don't want any of you guys getting scammed. Secondly, worry, and a certain level of, it's weird anxiousness, because I don't know how you guys will receive a video like that, especially the ones who are actually in contact with a scammer. I know that a lot of you guys are aware that there's plenty of scammers out there, but the certain few of you guys who have been in contact with scammers and have been communicating with them for days, for months, for years, I'm worried the most about those people. But after looking at the comments and just like seeing how openly you received the message and how a lot of those people who have indeed been in contact with scammers have received it so well, just it was such a huge burden off my chest. That's why yesterday, well, I think I posted a video around 7 or 7:30. I made sure that I stay on the apps as long as I can, just answering as much comments as I can, just liking as much comments as I can. I was doing that for all 4 platforms. I think I slept at around 10:30, and the moment I woke up at around 5:30, and the first thing that I did was just like grab my phone and check for comments again, and still answer a few. But thank you for being so open to that video and like still believing that I'm a good person despite some of you guys literally being poisoned by scammers. Anyway, without further ado, for episode 7, I wanted to talk about the concept of love and money, and I'm not even gonna lie, this particular episode is so heavily inspired by the scammer / money video that I did yesterday. I wanted to give my 2 cents on how money is so incredibly pertinent and important as well when it comes to our relationships, and how you can figure out if someone is really truly into you and not just in for the honeymoon phase. So typically for me, when I think about money, I instantly think dollars, pennies, some sort of a physical connection to the physical world through materialization. And the thing is, money is not just denomination. Money carries a heavy emotional weight as well. Like think about, like here, for example, in the US, did you know that the primary cause of divorce is money? And I'm sure it's not just in the US. This applies for several societies as well. And this would apply to like newer relationships. You don't have to be married to know that money is important in relationships. You could be in the boyfriend and girlfriend stage. You could be in a long distance relationship. You could be in a platonic relationship with someone, or you can be in a transactional relationship with someone. Money is so incredibly important, and I just had an epiphany right now just talking about this or thinking about this topic. Money plays a significant role when it comes to your attraction towards someone as well. Don't believe me? Like, think about it this way. Think about your partner, or like whoever it is that came to your mind first right now. Think about them. But this time they were homeless. Will you still be attracted to them? Like let's be honest, right? So this particular person in your mind right now, whoever he or she is, you met them at a time where they are homeless. And when I say homeless, I'm talking about a textbook definition of homeless. So someone who doesn't have a roof over their heads. Most likely they are unable to eat 3 meals in a day. They are unable to bathe themselves, so they most likely stink. They don't have the best physical hygiene, or they don't have the best physical conditions either. So maybe they're always sick, and everything that comes about not having money to take care of yourself and by extension someone else. If you know that someone is unable to take care of you, will you still be attracted to them? Let's be honest. Now, here's the thing. Some of you guys will think like, wait, my crush or like my first love or whoever it is that I had on my mind, if they were homeless, yes, I will most likely still be attracted to them. Those are the exceptions, but they don't make the rule. Because here's the thing, for a guy, I'm specifically talking about men here because it's quite a lot different when it comes to women, but I'm specifically talking about men here. But for men to become homeless, it's not something that just happens out of nowhere. It's not something that happens instantly. It's a constant choice. It's their constant ability to make the wrong decisions and options and choices in their lives. You just don't go homeless out of nowhere. Most of the time, they become homeless because of their lack of drive, their lack of motivation, their complacency, their ability to just be complacent and okay with whatever is happening. Believe it or not, a homeless person becomes homeless. Again, I'm talking about guys here. Because of their very own choices, because of the choices that they make, because of the type of person who they are. Similarly, if you meet, say, a billionaire or a millionaire, that person becomes a millionaire because they possess a certain characteristic, a certain set of skills, they have to become a certain person to become successful as well. Millionaires and billionaires, really successful people, they just don't become successful. Again, unless we're talking about someone who had like generational wealth or was given like a bunch of money by someone or won the lottery. If you meet someone and they're building themselves up and they were able to build, say, a multi-million-dollar business, it doesn't happen out of pure luck. You have to be a certain type of man to become that level successful, which means you have to be consistent, you have to be driven, you have to be hardworking, you have to be able to delay gratification. You need to be a certain level of man to become successful. And that, honestly, that's what's attractive, right? And the characteristics that a homeless person would have, similarly, it's the reasons why they are unattractive. So when we look at a guy and he drives a really nice car, he has a mansion, a really successful business, we're not just looking at the material things. We are looking at the characteristics of a person and the type of person that he is, so he can become that level successful. It's been proven so many times. Like, there's been so many researches about this, wherein girls were presented a set of photos. It's the same exact guy, but this guy would be, like driving a really broken down car, like a really broken down cheap car, and the same exact guy driving perhaps a Ferrari, like a really nice car. And they were rated based on attractiveness. And 100% of the time, the guy driving the really nice car would have higher scores than the guy driving the broken down car. So whether we like it or not, money and your ability to provide, your ability to make a life for yourself, it has a lot to do with how attracted we are towards a certain person. Do you get where I'm trying to get at? So sometimes we fall in love, we get into a relationship with someone, and we meet them at a certain point in their life where maybe they are successful, or maybe they are on their way to like building themselves up. And it's so easy to get attracted to them. But what if that flips and you meet them and they're broke? Are you still going to be in love with them? Are you still going to like them? Are you still going to take care of them? Would you still be in a relationship with them? Or if you're in a situation wherein you meet a guy, for example, your husband, and he was at a point of his life wherein testosterone was high, he was extremely driven, he was very assertive, he was hardworking, and now he's at its 50s or 60s and he's just lazy. And now you're thinking, are you one of those girls thinking, I feel like I'm married like a different person, or like now you're doubting yourself, or like you're having second thoughts about your decision of marrying this guy because now he's lazy and now he's not making any more money. It's a fact of life. I know so many people in these types of relationships wherein the guy has lost all drive and is now just staying at home, and the girl, being the responsible one, being the light of the family, is now trying to make a living for the entire family. If you're one of those girls, are you having second thoughts about your husband as of the moment? I'm genuinely curious. Let me know in the comments. According to psychologists, if we grew up in a household wherein, say, your parents are not always around, perhaps because they're working, and instead of their physical presence, you are given gifts. Instead, you are given material stuff. Then it's gonna be most likely for these types of kids, when they grow up, they're going to correlate gifts and money and materialism to actual love, connection, and affection. Now, here's the sad part. When they grow up, they will carry this thought, and it's a vicious cycle, because now they are in love. They're trying to get the affection of another person, and in their heads, in order to do that, they're thinking that they have to splurge and spend and give gifts and give expensive gifts. The more expensive the gift, the bigger the love. That's what they start thinking. But what if the money runs dry? Because not everyone's a millionaire, not everyone's a billionaire, right? No matter how much money you have, if you keep spending it, eventually the well is going to run dry. What if the well runs dry? What if money runs dry for you? What happens then? I know what happens. So these people would usually sacrifice themselves in order to buy, their loved ones gifts still. So they will still buy them gifts. They will still give them money. They will still try to provide in expense of their own needs, in expense of their own wants, and probably the material stuff that will kind of bring joy and happiness to them. Imagine someone who, I don't know if you have a friend, a family member, or maybe your partner who you would like if you need money, for example, right? So if you're trying to buy something, or if you're trying to pay for something and you don't have money, but you really need to pay this, and you're thinking, who can I borrow money from? Do you have a friend who you have an inkling that if you borrow money from them, then they'll most likely lend you some money? Imagine those types of people. Imagine those people who would be okay always picking up the bill. Imagine those people who would always lend you money. Those people who gives a lot of gifts. People who are generally generous to a lot of people. Think about those people. The damaging part is that in their heads they're thinking, what if I stop giving gifts? What if I stop lending money? What if I stop paying or providing for them? Am I still lovable then? That's genuinely what they're thinking. If I don't give my partner gifts, if I don't provide for my family, if I don't give my son a PlayStation 5, will my son still love me? That's genuinely what they're thinking. And it's such a vicious cycle. It's so damaging. Now, in the comments below, let me know if you have ever felt this way. Have you ever felt as if you need to spend on someone so you can get their approval? Has there ever been a point in your life wherein you try to bribe someone's love by buying them gifts, by giving them money, similar to scammers, wherein if they ask for money, you have to give them, and if you don't give them money, they literally curse you out? But have you ever felt that way? If you have, been good. And if you're listening to this, that's amazing, because now you have identified it, and now you can break the chain. Now you can change. So it's really never about just money alone. It always goes deeper. I'm going to give you an example. Let's just say you're a girl who likes buying luxury stuff. Let's just say expensive bags. So you buy a lot of expensive bags, you buy a lot of luxury stuff, or something, and to that effect. And your husband always flames you. All right, you always get in trouble with your husband, or always get in a fight with your husband because your husband doesn't like your spending. Your husband doesn't like you spending on expensive luxury stuff. Now, here's the thing. Your husband is not actually trying to get in a fight with you. Your husband is not trying to attack you. Your husband is not trying to judge you. What's really going on in his head is perhaps he's worried about your future because you're overspending. Or maybe perhaps, I'm going to make this assumption that if you're buying a lot of luxury goods, then it's probably your money and you're making a lot of money. Hence, if you're buying a lot of luxury stuff, your husband might feel insecure about the idea that you're the only one bringing in money, and maybe that you don't need him. Again, conversely, what if it flips? We flip that script, and what if it's just your husband making the money and you're just out there spending all of his money, right? So then the messaging becomes he feels underappreciated for the amount of work that he puts in the family, so you can do a lot of those stuff. There's this really cool quote, and it just sums it up in such a brilliant way. It goes like this: nobody ever divorces over money. Money is a symptom. Money is not the cause. It's always something deeper. And this hits home because it shows us that money arguments, it's not always about dollars themselves. When you argue about the money, it's so much deeper. The real questions are, do you feel loved? Do we feel secure? And do we trust each other? That's the core of the messaging. So when you fight about money, those are just the 3 questions that you have to ask yourself. And once you've asked those questions to yourselves and you've understood what's actually happening, divorces about money, they go away. Now, I'm extremely curious. What's your love language? How many of you guys has the love language of giving or receiving gifts? I'm extremely curious. And what happens if that goes away in your relationship? Again, there's nothing wrong about receiving gifts as a love language. I'm just genuinely curious. I wanted to end this video with a concept or a study rather, based on research. It says that as long as your core needs are met. So again, we were talking about the core or the reason why people fight about money. Again, we asked the question, are we loved? Do we feel secure? And do we trust each other? If those 3 are answered and your core needs have been met. So what are core needs? Core needs would be food, would be shelter, would be stability, security. As long as all of those are met, money doesn't really play much of a role anymore. The amount of money that you have, as long as those core things are met, doesn't really dictate how successful a relationship is. It doesn't really dictate how happy you become in a relationship. Think about the most successful, think about the richest person that you know. Are they automatically happier than you because they have more money? The answer is no. They are not. You know who the happiest are? The people who are able to balance money and use it to propagate and expand their ability to love. Ultimately, love and money, they don't have to be enemies. In a healthy relationship, you just use each other for you to be able to love more. And I'm gonna end my video with sorry about my dog. I'm not sure if you can hear him, but I'm gonna end my message with that. Use love and money in order to love harder. Thanks for joining me in this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.